All right, welcome everybody to the Team Wiz podcast for your NFL Week 6. I'm Marty, and I'm here with my man Pat. Pat, how you doing tonight?
I'm great, brother. How's it going?
Great, great. And I'm also here with the legendary Kyle. Kyle, how you doing?
Good, good. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. Looking forward to go over the slate. Last week was a pretty good week, and thank you guys for taking over and doing a great job while I was gone. But some great plays there, and looking forward to go over this week. So, for those of you who haven't watched before, what we're going to do is go over each game, give you our picks that we feel are best for the cash games. So, if there's any questions or anything that you guys have, feel free to hit up Pat on Twitter. His Twitter is at DFS_WizP, or you can hit up Kyle at DFS_WizKyle. Also, too, if you guys are tuning in on Google Plus, there is going to be a Rubik's Cube that's going to be up in the upper right-hand corner. That's for Q&As. Click on that, throw in a question, and we'll make sure to answer it for you. So as I mentioned, we're going to go over cash plays for NFL Week 6. And if we see any GPPs or anything that stands out, we'll definitely make sure to cover it. So, bless you. So with that, you guys ready to get started?
Yes.
Ready as I'll ever be.
All right. So let's go ahead and start off with the first game. We've got Denver and Cleveland. Pat, what are you thinking for this game here?
I'm thinking that the Denver Broncos defense is legit. They are the number one defense in the NFL, in my opinion. That is one of the only plays in this game that I'm eyeing.
Yeah, I agree. They're in play for me, like I said last week, every week. That's about all I can trust from this game. I'd love to get some Broncos running back exposure. Just don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, you definitely can't trust. You don't know who's going to get the workload, so you can't trust DJ or Ronnie in cash games. But I did see a few statements from the Broncos running back coaches earlier this week where they were saying that we're going to try to lean on CJ more this week. But when as an NFL team leak something to the press and then actually follow through with it, not all the time. So maybe a GPP play, toss CJ or Ronnie in, maybe both in one lineup. Who knows?
I could also see using some Emmanuel Sanders just because Joe Hayden is on Demaryius Thomas, and he's a target monster. He's always got to be thought about.
Yeah. What's surprising about this is the spread's only 4, so Vegas is kind of thinking it's going to be a closer game than initially what I was thinking. So, one of the things to keep in mind, I might get a little heat for this, but Peyton Manning, who's not been playing all that great, Cleveland has given up 5th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. And if you actually look, Peyton Manning's been throwing for a lot of yards. He just hasn't been getting the touchdowns. So, don't rule out Peyton Manning this week. Don't rule out Demaryius Thomas. I think there could be a lot of passing going around in this game as well. So I wouldn't rule those guys out. All right. What about Cincinnati and Buffalo? Kyle, anybody you like in this game?
I like Andy Dalton, and I like some Tyler Eifert and some AJ Green.
I'm with you on all three there, man. I especially on DraftKings where Andy Dalton I believe is severely underpriced. I do, however, think that this is not a cake matchup that everyone thinks it is. I do think the Bills still have a solid overall defensive unit. Some of their numbers are skewed just by the opponents they've played, Tom Brady, but they're still teams are passing over 60% versus the Bills because they cannot run on them. And Andy Dalton has been the number one fantasy quarterback in the year so far. Surprise, surprise. So I don't really see them slowing him down. He's definitely in top consideration of cash game plays here for me in this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, agreed. Like all those plays. And the other thing I point out too is that if EJ Manuel is going to get the start at quarterback, you might look at the Bengals defense. They're low priced, and there's if Manuel's playing, there's probably going to be some turnovers.
Yeah, I would definitely use the Bengals defense if we get word that EJ Manuel is starting.
That's a good point. However, they let me down last week.
All right, let's keep moving on here. We got Kansas City and Minnesota. Anything jump out at you guys?
Man.
Minnesota defense.
Yeah,
No Jamal Charles.
they're very solid. The Chiefs are going to have to rely on the dink and dunking arm of Alex Smith. They'll finally find out if he's capable of throwing it more than 20 yards down the field. So I'm with you there, man. Minnesota is Captain Munnerlyn. They're very solid in the secondary, solid up front against the run. I think they make for a great play.
Yeah, we were talking about a little bit earlier too. Is that I think that this should be a great matchup to play against the Chiefs. However, especially in their passing game, but with Minnesota, not really having a good passing game and having injured receivers, just unfortunately, it's a waste of a good matchup here. So.
Yeah, I would love to roster some of these guys.
I love
However,
Mike Wallace if he plays.
if you want to keep an eye on the wide receiver situation for Minnesota, even though they are in a dream matchup, they probably won't be throwing it that much. But Stephon Diggs is 3,500 on DraftKings. The game he did start, he got double-digit targets, so he seemed to kind of have a chemistry there with Teddy. But the Vikings have been, giving the rock to Adrian Peterson 20-plus times a game, whether it be on the ground or through the air. He's been their main source of offense, so I don't see them shying away from him anytime soon.
Gotta mention Kyle Rudolph as well. If they do pass and they're in the red zone, he's likely going to get looked at.
Yeah, I do think Kansas City can keep this game somewhat close, just because I don't see Minnesota being the high-powered offense to run away with it. I think that just with his volume, Adrian Peterson makes for a great play. However, I'm not going to force him into my lineups, but I do think, especially on full-point PPR sites, they've been involving him in the passing game a little bit more. So.
Cool. Moving on, we got Houston and Jacksonville. Should be some good plays from this game. Who are we liking from this one, Kyle?
Man,
this is my favorite game.
Me too.
I think this is gonna be a shootout. Zero defense in this game. I love Blake Bortles, DeAndre Hopkins, Arian Foster, Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns. Everybody in this game. Everybody.
I agree. Both these teams, especially Houston, they play at two of the faster paces in the NFL. Houston, I believe, is the second or third fastest pace in the NFL, which shockingly, surprised me. DeAndre Hopkins, one of my number one full-point PPR wide receiver plays on the week. His targets and usage by week has just surprisingly increased. I didn't think that it could get any higher than it has been.
His snaps played this season are insane.
Yeah.
He has 64.5 plays per game, and that's with getting concussed in week 2 and not even playing 3/4 of the game or whatever it was, which is just insane.
What's also pretty crazy is I think that, normally rostering a running back and a wide receiver from the same team is a negative EV move. However, in this scenario here with Foster and Hopkins, they both blew out value last week, and neither of them scored a touchdown. Foster Texans ran the ball more than any other team in the NFL last year. They've been involving him in the passing game this year as well. So both of these guys could reach value easily and not even score a touchdown.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if you look at Hopkins last week, he had Hoyer throwing in the ball, and he had 11 catches for 169 yards. So he's doing okay with Mallet, but they he was able to hook up pretty well for you last week as well. So that should translate over to this week as well. What about the Jag side of the ball? Pat, anybody you like from the Jags other than Bortles?
Yeah, love Bortles. He's severely underpriced on DraftKings. He's been super efficient this year. He's consistent, scoring 20 plus fantasy points a game. Allen Robinson has been his favorite target. He's just been peppering him with targets, and I think with Julius Thomas being back, I think it's going to, defenses are going to have to, worry about one more person to account for on that offense, and that's just going to open up for Bortles to be able to spread the ball around even more. I still think
Blake Bortles is also leading the league in pass attempts over 15 yards, which we love as fantasy owners.
Oh yeah, he loves to chunk the ball downfield. Passing TDs are worth more than interceptions, so as long as this game it goes as fast as I think it's going to go, I won't mind if he throws a pick, or hopefully not two. But I think this game is like Kyle said, is going to be a definite shootout. Both these defenses are in the bottom of the league.
Yeah, I think Allen Robinson's a great play on FanDuel. He's still only 6,700, and when you put up his numbers against some of the other guys, he's going up. His numbers equal to guys that are in the high 7,000s or low 8,000s. So I think he's underpriced, and I think it's a good matchup. It should be easy to fit him into your lineups this week.
Probably the last chance to buy low for Allen Robinson.
Agreed. All right, moving right along, we have Chicago versus Detroit. Pat, anything jump out at you?
Ooh.
No.
Gross. Like, dude, the good thing about DFS is there's games that we don't even have to roster people from.
Yeah.
Like I actually wouldn't mind Jake Cutler in a GPP, I guess maybe, but other than that, there's nothing. Maybe, oh gosh.
I actually love Calvin Johnson this week. He finally gets a good matchup. He's still Megatron, and even though he has had a bad year, if you look at his game log, he's had some really tough matchups, and he finally gets a good one here, and I think he has a chance to have a good game here.
Yeah, I agree. He's a great GPP play. He does have a great matchup. And Matt Stafford, I was looking for him on the DraftKings pricing list, and I had to go all the way down to almost near min salary. He's been so terrible. This is a great matchup for him. He's at home. If he was ever going to right the ship, it would be this week against the Bears. But I'm not going to put any real money. If there's any free rolls out there, I might throw him in it.
Yeah, I think for a GPP standpoint, you look at Forte, he's averaging 24 touches per game. That's probably a game where he's going to get a lot of touches. I don't know how his production is going to be. And then Martellus Bennett, since Cutler's been back, he represents 11% of the offensive workload. So Cutler does like to target him quite a bit. So, but again, I don't feel super confident for cash games, but something to look forward to in GPP.
I do think that both these defenses are pretty terrible. That it's a high over under. I mean, a low over under of 43, one of the lowest on the slate, I believe. I definitely think that it'll go over that for sure, with both these defenses being as bad as they are. So yeah, Matt Forte, Megatron, there's probably good bets for some of that production.
Someone's going to score. All right. Let's see. We got next game up. We have Washington versus the New York Jets. New York Jets is favored by 6 with a low over/under of 40.5. What does that mean to you guys?
Jets defense.
Yes, my favorite defense of the week.
Yeah.
They are one of the top. I think they're 4th in the league versus the pass, and 2nd in the league versus the run. They're great at creating turnovers, and you get them at a discount on the Broncos defense.
Yeah, I also love some Brandon Marshall. For some reason, this guy's just so underpriced. He's still one of the most talented receivers in the league, and he's eating up targets.
Yeah. And definitely The Redskins defense is kind of what we've talked about before, being a funnel defense. They're pretty stout up front, got a stout front seven. Their secondary leaves much to be desired, so it's a great matchup for him. And we've seen that Fitzmagic and the Jets can open it up a little bit and toss the pill around. So he's cash game playable, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely love Marshall in this game here.
Oh, did we lose Marty? Kyle, you still? You still there, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, yeah. Something happened to Marty. I don't know. Those of you who don't know, Marty lives in Florida. Hopefully they didn't shut down the internet in Florida too.
Along with DFS.
Yeah, government's doing crazy shit these days, guys. So, excuse me. But yeah, Brandon Marshall. What do you think about Decker as well out of this game, man?
I was just going to mention that and ask you the same question. I don't think he's cash game viable, but I would put him in a couple GPPs. I just don't see any reason to attack wide receiver twos in such a low over-under.
Yeah, I totally agree. This game's probably going to be played at a slow pace, but he definitely makes for a great GPP pivot off of Marshall. I'm going to text Marty here and see what happened. But let's see. That's about all I got from this game. What about you?
That's it for me.
I think they're gonna, when the Jets do get a lead in this game, they're gonna pound the ball with Ivory. I think he will have a lot of opportunity, but just not a great match.
He's gonna have to get some touchdowns because he's not gonna get a lot of yards per carry.
I agree. I think we can do better for his price point. There's a lot of better spots out there. Let's see. I don't know what order he was going in. Have we talked about Arizona at Pittsburgh?
Arizona and Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Le'Veon Bell for me, of course, every week. I'm going to mention him no matter what. And then Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald. Like I said, I was going to mention them guys every week too.
Yeah, until the volume, the usage, and the production slows down, they're in play every week. I do think this game sets up well for Arizona and Pittsburgh. At the beginning of the week, it opened up as a little bit bigger of a spread, but I see now that it's only dropped down to a 3.5. Arizona's favored by 3.5 on the road at Pittsburgh. I do think it's a great matchup for Carson Palmer and Fitz. Palmer's been one of the most consistent and productive fantasy quarterbacks this year so far, and we've seen Fitz be his favorite target. So I mean, he's got a pretty high floor in this one. He's in top of my QB considerations for cash games against a leaky Pittsburgh secondary. However, I'm not his own. I mean, Bell is definitely in play. I wouldn't argue with someone if they want to roster him because he's probably my favorite player in the NFL to watch.
Did you see what Todd Gurley did to Arizona?
Yeah, man, I did. I just based on his price, I don't know what is his price on FanDuel.
It's over 9K.
Yeah,
somewhere over
9K. He's gone up quite a bit. I think he's 9.5 on DraftKings as well. And we have seen that he is, Tomlin's committed to using him as Pittsburgh's offense. I mean, there's nobody else in that offense doing anything right now. So it's kind of like, well, are you going to stop Le'Veon or not? I call me crazy, but I do like Antonio Brown in this game as a GPP play. No one's going to play him. Dude, no one is going to play him. No one's going to play him. He's still Antonio Brown.
For a good reason.
Well, yeah, but hear me out here. He's still Antonio Brown, one of the best wide receivers in the game. He returns punts, and we got the old squeaky wheel narrative. He's already come out and publicly made it known that he's been telling Mike to get him the ball, to trust him more downfield. I don't know if the Steelers coaching staff will trust Vic to get him the ball a little bit more, but if he does get the ball more, he can be highly, highly productive and explosive. So he's one of my favorite GPP pivots. as well as I also like the Cardinals defense here. I think Vic got lucky as can be last week versus the Chargers. He threw.
Yeah, I couldn't argue with that.
He threw several balls that should have been picked, and I see an opportunity for probably at least 2 pick sixes here for the Cardinals D.
At least 2.
Yeah, man.
That's pretty bold. At least 2 pick sixes, huh?
No, opportunities for it. Opportunities.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they're in a great spot. So, and we've seen that they've been able to put up some points. So, anyway, you got anything else from this game?
I don't.
All right, let's move on to Miami at Tennessee. This game is also a 43.5 over/under, with Tennessee favored by 1.5. Do you like anybody else